what content do you guys want? What do you guys want to hear? Because at the end of the day, if you're not sure, just ask the people that you're trying to target what they want.
I love bookkeeping.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for listening to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast. My name is Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I actually feel like we've had a lot of questions about recently in our community. And that is social media content creation. And Melissa, you and we talk about this kind of on the side a lot. I don't know if you guys know this. I actually create the content for bookkeepers.com, for our Instagram, Facebook, social media. If you've ever made a comment or sent a DM, it's probably me that answers it. So I feel like I have a lot of input on this subject. But Melissa, I know that you've been kind of going through this content creation, I hate the word journey lately.
It is. It's definitely, I feel like the hero's journey. Where you have been so helpful for everybody that, listens. They like to hear me talk a lot, apparently.
Well, so something that I think you and I have talked about a lot recently is creating content that is, I guess, digestible for your audience, but also learning your audience and knowing what they want and what they want to see and having like a good variety. Because I think a lot of the times people get really, first of all, if, there's kind of this generational gap with content creation. There's the millennial age group, which is, you and I, who it comes maybe a little more naturally to, just because we were kind of raised to be a bit more tech savvy. But I have noticed in the generations above us, that's where a lot of the struggle of content creation comes from. And not just that, it's if you're a little more left-brained, there's my dog. If you're a little more left-brained and creativity isn't your forte, maybe, this is going to be a great episode for you to tune into. Melissa, I know that lately when it comes to creating content for your social media platforms, you've really stepped it up. What's been like the biggest struggle for you?
I think that just social media is constantly evolving and changing, even though we're on the same platforms. Facebook used to be where everybody was, and now you have multiple platforms depending on who your audience is, and you need to determine which platform is going to be better for you. And then, the algorithms are changing. How you need to present your content is changing. Like on Instagram, for example, the hashtags, do you put them in the original post or do you make them a comment afterwards? Are you doing, carousel, images or reels or stories or all these different things? And it's a lot to navigate when you have a full-time job that's not creating the content, right? I don't know, how anybody could navigate this while running a successful business without the help of professionals.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next point. So I think you get to a crossroad when it's time to build your social media content and your following. And there's kind of two ways you could take. You could take the route of, I'm going to hire out. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. This is the bane of my existence. And I think the biggest thing you have to ask yourself when you're at that crossroad is it in the budget? Like ultimately, that's what it's going to come down to. Do you have the budget for it? If so, yeah, hire out. Go on Upwork, hire an art student, or, there's so many different outlets that you can find content creators on, and all different kinds of price points. But I would say the other route you could take is I want to do it myself. And with that, you have more control, you kind of control your branding and what you put out, but it does add an element of more work for you.
It definitely does. But I think that what's really great these days is that there are a lot of professionals that are doing a lot of free content. So even if you're doing it yourself, there are resources that you can use to professionalize your DIY content creation.
Yes. And that is what kind of leads into my next point. Make it easy on yourself by using these outlets. We use Canva. Actually, I love Canva. Sponsor us if you want. But I love Canva. It's my absolute favorite. They have amazing templates. If you buy Canva Pro, it's not expensive. I think it's like $10. It's
so worth it.
It's so worth it. It's such a great investment. They have great templates. There's also apps on your phone. I know there's one called WordSwag. I think it's less of a template, but they have a lot of different designs if you like designing more on your phone. My point is there are lots of programs out there for you to utilize if you are lacking creativity. And that kind of dives into my next point because I'm trying to get like as much like advice for you guys as I can in this episode. So, utilize these programs, but also find inspiration. Don't completely copy people. Don't rip anybody off, but you can find inspiration with brands and pages that you like and see what they're doing and kind of not really mimic their branding or mimic them completely, but see how they interact with their audience. See the kind of the basis for what they're putting out. Are they putting out more infographics? Are they putting out more of these kind of like aesthetically pleasing beauty shots? Are they doing more of the carousels? Are they looking for feedback? Find a good balance of what the content is that you're putting out for your audience. And then another good point is to really ask yourself, how can I add value to my audience? What are they looking for? And get to know who your audience is kind of off. It's something that it's kind of hard to do because like if you're new to social media, you can't really find out who your audience is without having an audience. But find somebody comparable to what you want to be and find out what their audience is, because that's going to be the best way for you to kind of bridge that gap of lacking an audience and not knowing who your audience is,
That is such a great point. And I think that the number one thing that I've been doing is when I do find that inspiration and when I do have that kind of, I know what I want to, I know what I want to create, I preload content. One day I get that inspiration, I get that motivation, I'm feeling the high of content creation. I will create as much content as possible for future use, so that I have it for those days when I'm like, I can't do this, right? Luckily, I do have a social media manager now that helps me with these things. But even if you don't, it's such a great tip to just take the time to bust out as much as you can at one time and then use it throughout the month when you're feeling it. Just get it done and then have that pre-planned for when you can't, create like those days when you cannot wash your hair and you cannot do it. If you need to be on video, just preload that content.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many different tools you can use to create a calendar. That kind of leads into another good point. Sorry, you guys, I'm like kind of losing my voice. That kind of leads into another point of creating content really, unless you are experienced at it, it's something that you kind of need to organize first. And I think that's and the way I like to do it is on an Excel page. There's different apps you can use to schedule your social media and to see what the layout is going to be before you actually upload it. But, use your Google Calendar, use an Excel page and just really get organized and kind of make a pattern. That's kind of what I do. Like I'll have a pattern and then kind of build on it. So for example, if I'm looking at a calendar, I'll say, okay, every Monday is Motivational Monday. So I don't want it to be a quote with the same template every single time, but there's your Monday. So Monday. And then let's say on, Tuesdays, every other Tuesday and Thursday, you do like a carousel or an infographic or something like that. So then like you kind of fill out I fill it out based on different topics and like kind of build, build a calendar. And I really hope that makes sense because I can picture it in my head, but I know that not everybody else can. But Melissa, as far as, because you're a great person to ask and kind of gain perspective on this, what is something that you wish you knew when it came to content creation?
Oh my gosh. I think for me, it was trying to produce like what we were talking about, like original content, obviously like being original in the content that you're creating, that's also providing value, and making, because like how, we have what people would consider a boring topic, right? So like, how do I spice it up while staying like, true to my branding while also providing value, but like not being too scary. And then also like, how do I actually create all of it, first of all, and then organize it and then, post it. And for me, it was just really overwhelming. So like, I wish I had all of your feedback way earlier than I did, but I have to say everything that you're saying right now has made content creation so much easier for me to digest. And I think there's like, we mentioned there's a lot of free content. Like, I don't know why I didn't think about it for the longest time, but I was just like, okay, let me just like look this up on Pinterest.
Well, there's so many different tools out there for you to use to find inspiration for your content. And I use that. Like professionals use that. Like everybody needs to find inspiration. One thing I will say about content creation is align your content with your company's core values. If if you're a certain niche and you've kind of established yourself in a certain area or a certain niche is what I'm trying to say, but like cater content for the audience that you're working with, but also align it with who you are as a company. And I guess I should use some examples so that it's easier for you guys to understand. Here at bookkeepers.com, our biggest thing that we like to, I guess our core values is providing people or giving people the tools to have financial freedom, general freedom to work wherever they want to, finances, family, and freedom, basically, the 3 Fs. We call it the 3F lifestyle. And so something that is really important to me to cater to our audience is to have content that inspires people to want that 3F lifestyle. And so that's, if let's say you are a company that caters to, you're in healthcare, or I know that we have students who are like serving the chiropractic niche, make your content with the values of the people that make your content the values of who you are, but also aligning with who you want to work with. And I guess that's kind of hard it's hard kind of to describe that, because it's like you have to stay true to yourself, but you also have to bring value to the people that follow you and the people that you want to work with your content.
That's so true. And I think, again, like we've mentioned it again, and I know people are tired of hearing us say you need to niche, but like, guys, it's so much easier to do social media content creation if you know exactly who those people are. And if you're trying to please everybody, you'll please no one. And so really, really niching down your audience is going to make this a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, and not even having a niche if you're a bookkeeping business, have a niche in who your audience is. And I think that's getting to know your audience. And I'm kind of circling back to that point I made earlier, but getting to know your audience and what they want is very important. And, I'll give you some insider tips on what I do, on Instagram, especially, and Facebook business has this as well. Use the metric tools. You can look at your metrics. And for example, when I do carousels on Instagram, those usually get more saves and more sends than anything else we post.
Today's show is brought to you by Keeper, the one app to run your bookkeeping business. Keeper helps you get faster client responses with your own custom branded QuickBooks integrated client portal. Finally, you can say goodbye to those pesky spreadsheets full of uncategorized transactions. Keeper also helps you catch those embarrassing coding errors before your clients do. And with Keeper, you can generate beautiful custom reports that your clients will absolutely love to read. To find out more, go to keeper.app. That's keeper.app. Mention I Love Bookkeeping to get 20% off your first 3 months. Again, go to keeper.app to find out more. Thank you for listening.
So, Hannah, can you tell people what exactly is a carousel and like what should you do, I guess, to make those like kind of like easier to save or like getting more traction? Like what exactly are they?
Yeah. So I'll pull it up right now on my phone. Obviously you guys can't see. But a carousel is something that it's multiple images. And for example, the most recent one I did was 5 difficult truths about personal growth. Another one I did is, let me find another one.
And so it's on Instagram and you
it's multiple
post multiple images. Okay. So that way people have to scroll to the left.
Yes.
Which is what makes it like that carousel.
Yes. So another one I did is a guide to our different courses. Another one I did was how to beat the winter blues when you work from home. So it's topics that you can discuss with multiple kind of bullet points that people want to hear. And for example, this last one I did 5 difficult truths about personal growth. It did really well because, and I can see the metrics on it. I can see, if you hit view insights, I can see that 24 people sent it and like 52 people saved it. And it shows you your engagement. And I think those are great to do every once in a while because when you're providing it's a chance for you to provide more value, basically. When you have multiple things, multiple bullet points to give to your audience.
Yeah. And I think that by tracking your metrics too, then you can have an idea of, like you said, what's performing better. So when you go to do your next month's content, okay, I need to do more of things like this or less of things like that. Or at least I like to ask people too. At least I have clients in my niche or, there's ways to do this on Instagram where you have a poll and just like ask people what content do you guys want? Like, how can I be of value to you? What questions do you have? That's why we're always asking, the people that follow this podcast, what do you guys want to hear? Because at the end of the day, if you're not sure, just ask the people that you're trying to target what they want.
Yeah. And I do that from time to time. And another great thing for you guys to do with your content is to ask for feedback. What do you guys want to see? A good way to kind of grab your audience and to get their attention is feedback, quizzes. People go nuts over quizzes. I will tell you that much.
Yes. They're so easy.
They're so easy.
And I do them every time I see a quiz because I'm like, yes. I can answer that.
Yeah. And it's usually like, if it's a health product or if it's is owning a business right for you? That's kind of a quiz that we utilize. People love quizzes. So if you're able to do that, set up a quiz on your social media. But the point is people feel warm and fuzzy inside when you ask them about themselves. That is the point I'm trying to get across here. So a great kind of lead magnet is to ask your audience about themselves and to get to know them and to get to know what their needs are and what they want so that you can better provide value.
Yes, 100%. I think we talk about this a lot, but everybody just wants to be listened to. And that's the same for social media.
Yeah. And as far as, It's funny, when I first started off here at bookkeepers.com doing the content, I look back at the stuff I created and I'm like, ugh, what? Like, I just, don't get discouraged, because I look back at some of the stuff I made and I'm like, I could have done such a better job, but I didn't know. I had just started, and social media grows and evolves, and it's kind of scary because you have to grow and evolve with it. But don't beat yourself up if you're just starting off at this.
No, it's, again, guys, you just have to do it, right? And that's why, we could go on forever about all the things that you should and how you should do it. But at the end of the day, if any of this is holding you back, just start creating. I have the same thing where I look back on older content and I'm like, oh, what was I doing? Well, I was just doing the work, and it wasn't perfect, but it was better than nothing. And you can always rebrand. That's what I always just remind myself, like, you could always improve, you could always rebrand. And it's very unlikely that anybody else will go back through my old content and be like, oh my God, what was she thinking? So
I have to tell myself that too, because I'm like, oh my God, I was so young, I didn't know anything. And I'm like, nobody
is judging.
Nobody
you.
cares. Nobody cares.
It's so funny, but actually, I think it was like Alyssa Lang that had told me that she's like, I basically, nobody cares about me enough to like judge me like that, right? Like, she's like, I don't pay attention to what other people are doing, so I have to remind myself that nobody else is probably paying attention to me, in a sense where it's like, we're all focused on trying to do the best that we can. Like, I'm not, when I look at other people's content, I don't judge them. And so I have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not doing that to me. Right. And like, that has helped my anxiety so much since I was like, you're right. Like, you're right. Like, I feel like I give everybody so much like benefit of the doubt and grace when I see their stuff. And I just have to assume that they're thinking the same thing. And that, especially in this community, everyone is so positive that, if you're doing your best, then we're all going to see that.
Yeah. And, it's really tough, because I understand, and I hear so much of our students talk about, those who have never really been on social media or been or new to social media marketing and content creation. It's really intimidating, because it's kind of this ever changing landscape. And it's hard to keep up with, and it's overwhelming. But just like you said, like, you just have to do it, and learn from your mistakes, and decide, I'm going to do this, and it's scary, and I might not be perfect, and I might learn some things the hard way, but it's better to just do than learn, than to just kind of hang back and be like, I'm too scared, I don't want to put it out there. Well, I'm too scared.
It's a numbers game. Like, right. Like you were talking about metrics, the more content you create, the more views you get, the more engagement you get, like, the higher you boost up on most of these algorithms. And so it's really just busting out the content that you can, sharing other people's content, engaging with other people's posts. That's kind of the key, right? Is just, it's a numbers game to just be consistent. And that's the biggest feedback that I give people, is like, even when you're not feeling it. That's why I'm such an advocate for pre-loading content, that, just get consistent to get that stuff out every day or however many times a week, and just keep at it. And if you can't do it, have somebody do it. If you're older and this isn't natural to you, dude, ask your kids. But a funny story, like, to show how ridiculous I am about this. I think I did tell Hannah, but we were on the podcast, but one day a month, I will record all of the reels for 3 separate companies, you guys. And I just take a few hours, and I try to pick a day where I blow dried my hair, but it's not always possible. And I start with no makeup, and I start with my hair down. And then throughout the reels, I change outfits. Like, I'll change a top, I'll change a bottom. I will like increasingly add makeup and add jewelry and change my hairstyle.
So it looks like it was on a different day.
So it looks like it was on a different day. And I do this for all three companies, and I make sure that each one has a different outfit, even if it's in a different company. And I change where I'm at, either in my room or I switch rooms. So I have different scenes, like different backgrounds, different outfits. But guys, if you look at any of my social media for that entire month, it was filmed within a 2-hour window on one day. And it was a day where I felt good. So that's, again, but that was a whole month's worth of content. So again, like, pick a day where you're feeling it, guys, and just get it done.
I think a lot of another thing that is really scary for people is when they're starting out on a new business and they're kind of afraid of like the judgment and, like social media has kind of made judging people really easy. And so that's definitely nerve-wracking, but guys, people are going to talk no matter what. If somebody wants to judge you, or somebody wants to have some sort of like negative feelings about you pursuing your dreams, that's a them problem. And that's a whole other episode, but that's my end rant. That's a them problem. It's not a you problem. Don't make it a you problem. And do it. And this is something that ultimately that needs to be done to get your business out there. So, Melissa, I know you and I could talk about that for hours.
Forever, because honestly, like, the people that are going to do that are the people that I don't want in my life. Exactly. And the people that I don't want to surround myself with, because everyone that has been successful in this business has made a fool of themselves at one point or another. I do it all the time, guys. And we know that, right? When you're successful, you know that, and you're not going to judge other people that are doing it. I love to see people doing stuff. I've been really happy because, obviously for Bookkeeping for Painters, my social media, I'm always following painters, right? That's like, I want to follow the people that are my ideal client. So I don't follow people that are not that ideal client. For my consulting business, all I do is follow bookkeepers. And guys, it is just I love it. I love seeing everybody's different original ideas. And a lot of times it's very similar content, right? Because it's all the content that we all work on, and just seeing how people do it differently. So definitely just see what other people are doing and just try to change, again, like 20 to 30% of it. Like, don't be copying content, but surround yourself with the other people that are doing it. I love just, being a part of other people that are successful, because it's just motivating and inspiring. And especially, again, I'll go off on it, but like women supporting women, like there is nothing like it. So find those people, and they're there in the social media space.
We hope that you guys have really enjoyed this episode about content creation. I love talking about this. I love helping people with this. So if you guys have comments, questions, concerns, tips, please shoot us an email at success@ilovebookkeeping.com. Again, that is success@ilovebookkeeping.com. My name is Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And thank you for listening to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast.
I love bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all my friends working hard at keeping the books. You want to change your life, you want to grow that biz, it's not as hard as it looks. Be a money guide, a profit coach, step up your game and see